Well, ladies and gentlemen, it happened again. Every single time this happens, it just gets a little bit more depressing to see athletes that actually feel the need to do this kind of thing. Just recently, we learned that one of the fastest marathoners of all time has not only been found to be tested positive for an illegal substance, but it really looks like they have been tampering with their official documents. Now, the athlete that we're looking at right now is Titus Akiru from Kenya, who has a personal record in the marathon of 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 57 seconds. This is an insanely fast time, and it actually ties him at number 6 all time, tying him with Dennis Kimetto from Kenya, who ran his previous world record back in 2014. Now, a performance of 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 57 seconds equates to a time of 4:41 per mile or 2:54 per kilometer, so this is truly moving over a full marathon. But when you look at the other side of his performances, there are some huge red flags going on. So apparently back in 2021, soon after running his 2:02, he tested positive for steroids. However, he supplied an official document saying that this was just part of his medical treatment, and he had a medical diagnosis that required the specific treatment. Now, this is actually quite typical, as people do have medical issues that require specific treatments, and oftentimes there are trace amounts of illegal substances in their system that very often do not even result in the slightest bit of better performances due to these medical treatments. However, there is also the workaround that Titus Akiru here is being accused of, which is to say that he took these steroids knowing full well he did not have this medical diagnosis, and even though there were trace amounts, there probably were much larger amounts when he originally took them. It just so happens that by the point that he took the test, it had mostly cleared out of his system. Now, a potential 10-year ban is a big deal, because this basically puts an end to your career. 10 years is a very long time, but for an athlete like Titus Akiru, who is already 31 years of age, he would be 41 by the time that he was able to compete again, if he is indeed found guilty. Now, it is very important to assume innocence before guilt, and this is actually a big part of the entire justice system. But the issue is, the World Athletics Integrity Unit has already dug super deep into what Titus Akiru has been doing for the previous few years. And the issues cut way deeper than just a positive test, because while he was tested positive, he's actually been tampering for years with his medical records, and he's actually been tampering with official documents as well. If you are tested positive and you do plead guilty, you might receive a ban for 4, 5, or 6 years, depending upon how severe your abuse of these illegal substances were. However, on the contrary, if you're in fact sneaking through the system, manipulating your records, and falsifying documents, your ban is going to be around twice as long. In fact, we've already seen this once this season from an athlete from Nigeria by the name of Blessing Okabare, who was found guilty and also found tampering with her medical records. In fact, along with her supplier, Eric Lira, we saw that they had back and forth conversations looking for various ways to avoid these positive tests, and basically in these texts, they pretty much proved that they were using illegal substances and that they were trying to find workarounds in order to not test positive. It seems as though this exact same thing is happening right now with Titus Akiru, and from medical records to personal information, when you're falsifying documents, that's a big deal because you are directly manipulating the system. And even though this is quite depressing, it's a good thing that people like this are being caught, and a potential 10-year ban is on the line. For the most part, I think that when people do manipulate the system and try to cheat, there should be a lifetime ban threatened, at least put into place for some people. And the fact that this doesn't happen and people still come back to compete 3 or 4 or maybe 5 years later, sometimes just isn't enough. When it comes to marathon running, there is a huge demand for endurance capabilities, and corticosteroids and other illegal substances are very much a big advantage as it helps them put oxygen through their body way more efficiently. In fact, EPO, which has been used by marathoners and also athletes in the Tour de France, is one of the most widely distributed illegal substances that marathoners have used. And while this isn't what Titus Akiru has been accused of, it's also possible that he has used this in the past. This is just more bad news and more negative influences on the marathon, and at this point, I don't know whether or not his 2:02:57 is officially going to be deleted from the record books. I think it personally should be, but at the end of the day, it all depends on how World Athletics decides to move forward with this. It is a sad day to see a big athlete like this fall from grace, and even though the 2:02:57 was very impressive 2 years ago, it definitely does not sit in the same light today. Thanks for watching, everyone, and as always, until next time.